Hello, amazing people! Welcome back to another episode of Dean and Gertie Explore the World. Today we're stepping into Jamestown Settlement, where the story of America's first permanent English colony comes to life. Join us as we climb aboard a full-scale replica of the ships that carried settlers across the Atlantic, test our skills with the Powhatan tools, and discover how the Powhatan people thrive. Watch history in action with live historical interpreters, hands-on demos, and even ancient armor and weaponry. See a blacksmith at work? Watch as we learn how iron shaped the colony. Want to plan your visit? We've got all the tips to help you save money and make the most of your trip. Check out all the details below. Remember, this isn't just a history lesson, it's a full-on adventure.
Example of a copper kind of bead that they might have put in their necklace. So it's essentially been like a little flat square that was folded into a tube. You see that fold right there? You can see that fold right there. So this would be something that they are going to use like stringing a necklace. So if they have multiple copper beads like this and they have like a full necklace full of copper, it's still going to tell them or tell other people about them that they have some status in some way, whether they went out and traded for that copper, or maybe they are related to somebody who went out and got all of this copper. So that could be some way to kind of set themselves apart from other people in town. Their belts and things, they're going to have really cool dyes done to get different colors, and then they'll also do different styles of weaving to make different patterns. So this one is pretty simple with just the diagonal stripes, but you might see some belts that have a triangular kind of pattern where the weaving makes a triangle design in there, and those are even more intricately woven than point down on the leather, a couple of taps, and then I have a hole. I'll give that to you to start. You're just going to hold it straight down, and then you're going to give a couple of taps with that rock on there. Yeah, you just want to be careful with your hands. Perfect. Excellent. So once you have all of the holes in there, you can start putting your thread, if you needed thread, or
Well, right now I'm doing what's called flint napping. So I'm taking a stone with a kind of glassy texture, so it looks, feels, and sounds a little bit like glass. Chipping away at it until you can make one of these In this stage, I'm mostly just doing what's called percussion flaking. So I'm taking the antler of an out and kind of smashing it a little bit along the edges to get a more defined shape out of it. It's not necessarily about how many they would have to make or how long it takes. They're more focused on the quality of the item more than the quantity. It was a very pre-industrial revolution kind of mindset that they had. This one took me about an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, the time for all of these is highly variable because there are a lot of variables that go into them as well, like tools, materials you're using, skill, experience, as well as luck is also a very big playing factor.
So this would have been the first step. They would have taken the log, started to kind of carve it out a little bit. Then, so they would have lit it on fire. They would have got it all charcoal. Then they would have let it cool and they would have scraped all the stuff out of here.
Cool.
Could you have lived like an Indian?
Yes, definitely.
What would have been the hardest part?
I think with carving out the canoe, pretty hard.
Carving a canoe would have been pretty hard?
Yeah.
Probably. What about making arrowheads? You think you could have, that would have been easy?
Yeah.
You think it would have been easy?
Yes.
Whichever one you want. Dean, do you think you could have lived like an Indian?
No.
Why not?
I mean, yes, but
You could have?
yeah. It would be hard because carving out the thing, carving out the canoe, and making arrowheads, it would be cool, but it would be hard too. The same thing. It would be hard because you have to chip the right amount of pieces off of the arrowheads, and if you mess up and don't chip the right amount, the spear is done.
Oh, yeah. What do you think of what's behind you?
Oh shit.
So when the sun, they're measuring the sun for celestial navigation when it's at its highest point in the sky. That's local there at noon. No matter what your sand timers are telling you what time it is, you start your day then, and then you kind of reset.
That's really cool.
It's called a whip staff. You're welcome to try it out, push it back and forth. You move the whip staff up here, that moves the tiller right below this deck, and that controls the rudder.
Use some muscle.
Yeah, you won't hurt it. Just push it like that.
Oh.
Now you're steering the ship.
You are moving the rudder in the water right now.
Come on.
Okay.
Yep.
She said that they would have actually had brick in here, but only because this is where the cook would have been. So the cook was special. He had his own bed, his own room, but he would have to cook in his room. How hot would that have been in there?
Working through the ship.
Somebody's job just to like man the hourglass?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. Now, the other thing they would do is, as they went around, if they had a nice clear day like today and they could see the sun, they would reset the hourglass to noon. They'd find out what local noon was, look at it through an instrument, look at the sun, or look at the angle of the sun through an instrument. As soon as the sun got at its highest, that was local noon, they'd reset their time glass. So if you want to pass that around, it's heavy. Use both hands. So that's the cannonball. That fires the longest range, and it's also like punching. So if we can damage the sails, we're going to slow the ship down as well, right?
What is it?
So for that, they have a couple different types of ammunition. This is called bar shot. And this sort of looks like a cannonball that's cut in half with a bar behind the sail, but there's all kinds of line that control the sails, right?
Yeah.
So if we can rip up those lines, the ship is going to slow down. This is called canister. What it is two pieces of wood that are hollowed out in the inside and tied together with a string. When this fires out of the cannon, the two pieces of wood separate, and it's like a shotgun. So that's going to hurt those sailors and hopefully not allow them to control the sails.
The one on the end, they said sail. Like,
Good job.
So this ship is far along because they don't know the depth of any of the waterways. So she is going to be their primary scout ship. Once they get into the Chesapeake Bay, this ship takes the lead. She's going to be mapping rivers and charting depths. And she's also going to stay in Virginia after the other two return to England and keep doing that. This might have been the ship that John Smith used when he made his map of the Chesapeake Bay. I can't confirm that, so take it with a massive grain of salt.
Yeah, raised flower beds. Pretty sure that they brought those from Home Depot.
Today I'm baking a pie. You know what kind of pie that is?
Fruit pie.
Fruit pie, yeah. It's got apples and cherries. Cinnamon. Cinnamon, yeah. And sugar. We are making something special that the governor will eat because he was very, very rich and he could have anything he wanted. But the average guy here wasn't eating pies. He was eating soup pretty much every day, twice a day. He would eat it what we call lunch, what we call dinner. And that was his main meal of the day. That he would eat around the middle of the day. And then he would eat his supper at the end of the day, which would be cold leftover dinner. So soup, hot, midday, soup, cold leftover at the end of the day. Oh.
What was the bell for?
I think they're closing the outdoor areas for lightning.
Told ya.
Told ya. Told you so.
Okay, so, what just happened?
Well, there's lightning coming, so they're moving us all over to the museum for safety purposes. But I think it's just because it's hot and they know that we're all sweating, so they want us to stink up one room.
Well, that rooster, he didn't really want us to go the way that we were supposed to go. He's in the same spot.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Not there.
Hey folks, how are you doing today?
Good, sir.
Getting started on what will hopefully be the upright supports of a polishing bench. With polishing down the metal bits of a very important item. They weren't making their swords here. Where did these Englishmen get their swords?
England.
England. Yeah, brought them with them.
Yeah.
Same place they got their saw, their hammers, their rulers, their pencils. Did you know they had pencils like that back in 1610? I'm not joking, they actually did.
Did they really?
They found about that much of a couple of them at the original site of Jamestown.
Oh my gosh.
They even had graphite for their leads. Turns out that some individual had discovered the form of graphite could be made into a pencil lead as early as the 1560s. So I don't know how common those pencils were, but like I said, they found two of them at Jamestown. In the archaeology, so.
that's a sword I made about 4 years ago for the museum,
Yeah.
based on bits that they found at the original site, among other things. So, and maybe it's just the blade doesn't have all this on it, or I can take that off of it, clamp it down. Now, with that held securely on there, I can take a file and run it across without hitting my hands on the surface here, which is why we're running into the problem currently.
Yeah.
I can clamp a pad of leather or cloth that's been coated with oil and rough stuff like broken up brick dust or iron filings or a material called emery grit, and put that under a flexible piece of wood that's tied to another piece of wood from there, and I can work it back and forth, getting a lot of good pressure and even polishing on there. That's how it was done from the late Roman era right up to the Jamestown era, using benches like that. And doing that, we know from both period comments and a modern experiment that you can get a sword blade polished down to the point where it looks like a mirror.
Really?
At least see.
Tell me how heavy it is.
It's heavy, like 1,000 men.
1,000 men?
Gertie.
Gertie, how heavy is it? Dean said 1,000 men.
Nope. That's very, very hard.
Could you have worn that all day, every day? Let's see what all this banging is over here.
I'm working on this piece of armor known as a gorget. I'm working on that, and to be a frying pan. We only had one death on that first voyage, and that was because he died of heat exhaustion in one of the Caribbean islands where they stopped off for water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't die on the boat.
No,
Right. So he was the only death.
that was the only death.
Really?
He died in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Now, first winter.
They're called chargers. Each one would have enough powder to put one ball down range. Think like a speed loader.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I would be surrounded in gunpowder and have to carry around a burning thing to set my gun off. Can you see a problem that come from that?
No, not at all.
Welcome to the guardhouse. So y'all have just stepped into the military heart of the fort, but also the guardsman's break room. The guard shift can last anywhere from 24 to 27 hours. Yes, you heard that right. Depending on the season, because it's all based on sun up, sundown, that kind of thing. Natural cycles. So some days are longer than others. If you were out and about in the fort with your musket, with lit match, powder, ready to do either some mischief or to defend the colony at any given moment, you're going to be in armor. Anytime you are outside of that fort wall on military business, you're going to be in armor. You know what's scarier than a spear, though?
What?
How about a spear you'll never see coming or hear coming? A spear that just comes out of the woods. Yep, arrows. This is what we're worried about. Because the way the Powhatan fight is you will never see the first volley coming. They'll just start landing around you. And you better hope you're going to have armor on when they start to land. Even something as simple as chainmail, which is well out of date in Europe by the time they get off those boats, that will work fine against this. Because here's the thing, that in Europe is not a benefit, it is a detriment. If you get hit with a musket ball while wearing chainmail, it's going to turn that musket ball wound into a shrapnel wound. It's going to drag those broken legs into the wound. It will be extra nasty. So they're going to put that away pretty quickly. That's been out of date for close to 100 years by the time that they land here.
Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us as we explored Jamestown Settlement. From sailing the ships to testing our skills with Powhatan tools and even watching a blacksmith at work, this was an epic journey back in time. Planning your trip? Be sure to check out the details for money-saving tips, must-see spots, and hidden gems that will make your visit unforgettable. And now, we want to hear from you. Which part of history would you love to experience in real life? Drop a comment and let's chat. And don't forget to subscribe for more amazing adventures, and as always, never stop exploring.